Welcome back to the channel. It's me, Adam. I hope you guys are all doing well. In this video, I want to talk about ASML. They are a semiconductor company based out of the Netherlands, and I don't even know if it's accurate to call them a semiconductor company because they create the machines that they sell to semiconductor manufacturers. For example, fab manufacturing companies like TSM that then ship off their microchips to companies like AMD and Apple. When I first got into the stock market, I didn't realize how complex the semiconductor industry is. Right now we're having all the short supply, but I never realized how many different layers there were to the business. But when it comes to ASML, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the entire company, and I have a couple of informative videos to show you guys, as well as we'll take a look at the investor presentation, financials, and my favorite part, the candlesticks. So before we get into the video, if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard and hit that subscribe button. Here at Unlimited Options Investing, we talk everything from stocks, crypto, options, ETFs, and we're investing for the long term. As always, smash that like button and let's get started. Alright, ASML at a glance. The most important tech company you've never heard of, and I like how they have that on their actual official website. So ASML manufactures complex lithography systems critical to the production of microchips, unlocking the potential of people and society by pushing technology to new limits. I want to show you guys this video over here. The future. Looking at their products, the semiconductor industry is driven by affordable scaling, which is powered by ASML's holistic lithography product portfolio. We provide our customers with everything they need, hardware, software, and services, to mass-produce patterns on silicon, allowing them to increase the value and lower the cost of a chip. And we see here their lithography system. So they have the EUV lithography system and the DUV lithography system. EUV is extreme ultraviolet and DUV is deep ultraviolet. EUV lithography systems provide highest resolution and high volume manufacturing. Our extreme ultraviolet lithography machines are pushing Moore's law forward, whereas the DUV lithography systems dive deep into the UV spectrum to print the tiny features that form the basis of the microchip. Scrolling down a little bit more, almost every lithography system that's ever been shipped is still in use at a customer fab. Now that's pretty impressive. I don't know how far back they go, but I mean, that's not bad at all. Imagine the same could be said about iPhones. I mean, obviously I know they're completely different, but I want to say a solid 40 to 60% of iPhones end up cracked in some way. And scrolling down a little bit more, metrology and inspection systems, as well as computational lithography. Man, this is like way over my head. Like, I feel like in order to really understand this on a deep level, you need to be an engineer of some sort, which I am not. Not super important information for the fundamentals, but I thought it was interesting. They have over 60 locations in 16 different countries worldwide. And we can see the locations over here. So they have a bunch in the US, the Netherlands, Germany, as well as Far East and Southeast Asia. You have South Korea, Japan. You have several in China as well as in Taiwan, which is like the center of the semiconductor world. So why invest in ASML? So first of all, they have share buybacks. So ASML returns cash to shareholders on a regular basis through share buybacks or capital repayment, subject to our liquidity requirements, market conditions, and other relevant factors. That the amount of shares they're buying back is increasing year over year. For example, if we take out our trusty calculator and we put in 8600, which was the total for 2020, divided by 7393, year over year, that would be a 16% increase. And on July 21st, 2021, ASML announced its new share buyback program to be executed by the 31st of December, 2023. As part of this program, ASML intends to repurchase shares up to the amount of 9 billion euros, of which we expect a total of up to 0.45 million shares will be used to cover employee share plans. And another clip I want to show you guys comes from this YouTube channel, Asianometry, and I started watching this YouTuber, and and he gives some pretty intellectual analysis on a wide range of topics, and I heard this and I want to share this with you guys.
First, let us start with a fab. A fab costs a lot of money to build. We all know about Moore's law, not an actual, natural law, but rather an industry observation that the number of transistors on an integrated circuit doubles every 2 years. It's famous and everyone likes to talk about it. But not as well known is Moore's second law, also known as Rock's law, named after one of Intel's early investors. It states that the cost of semiconductor tools doubles every 4 years. Such tools represent 75% of the total cost of the fab, driving them upwards. In 2000, a leading-edge fab cost $1 billion, twice as much as it was in 1995. In 2005, $3 billion. Now, in 2020, TSMC's leading-edge N5 fab in Tainan cost roughly $17 billion. Its next-generation N3 process fab, also in Tainan, is estimated to cost $19.5 billion. Like with Moore's law itself, Rock's law is an observation and not a natural law. As much research goes into slowing Rock's law as it does into accelerating Moore's. And there are a few techniques and financial methods.
So I'm going to stop it there. If you guys want to watch more, this video is called The Coming Semiconductor Bust. Again, Asianometry. So essentially the gist of what he's trying to say is that even though we're able to make more and more efficient processors over time, we're spending a heck of a lot more money trying to produce those semiconductors. And which machines are able to do that? ASMLs. So when I was on their website looking for information, pretty much what I can tell you about this company is that they don't skip a single detail about anything. To the point where I actually don't think I've ever seen that before in any company. Now, that doesn't mean anything tangible to the investment thesis. You could not skip every detail, but every detail could be awful. But I'm very confident that is not the case when it comes to ASML. So this PDF comes from their second quarter earnings, and they're actually reporting earnings this week on Wednesday morning. So in the second quarter, they reported 4 billion euros net sales and 1 billion euros in net income, as net sales are now expected to grow by around 35% in 2021. And scrolling down a little bit, we see that expanding end market applications fueled by innovation from a highly profitable ecosystem drive semiconductor demand across all markets. Keywords, all markets. Shrink is a key industry driver supporting innovation and providing long-term industry growth. Semiconductors, aka Moore's law. Holistic lithography enables affordable shrink and therefore delivers compelling value for our customers. DUV, EUV, and application products are highly differentiated solutions that provide unique value drivers for our customers and fuel significant growth opportunities for ASML. EUV will enable continuation of Moore's law and will drive long-term value for ASML well into this decade. In November 2018, ASML modeled an annual revenue opportunity between 15 billion to 24 billion euros for 2025. And like we mentioned, we expect to continue to return significant amounts of cash to our shareholders through a combination of growing annualized dividends and share buybacks. So they had net sales of 4 billion euros, net system sales of 2.9 billion euros, and installed base management sales of 1.1 billion euros. A gross margin of 50.9%, which is very high, and an operating margin of 30.8%, with net income as a percentage of net sales at 25.8% and earnings per share of 2.5 euros. So here's the updated September 29th, 2021 Investor Day presentation. So their business model and capital allocation strategies. Their continued investments in technology leadership have created significant shareholder value. Growth in semiconductor end markets and increasing lithography intensity on future nodes fuel demand for our products and services. Based on different market scenarios, we have an opportunity to achieve an annual revenue for 2025 between approximately 24 billion euros and 30 billion euros, with a gross margin for 2025 between approximately 54 and 56%. They see significant growth opportunities beyond 2025, assuming a $1 trillion semiconductor market by 2030. With litho intensity and our market share constant from 2025, we expect an annual revenue CAGR, or compounded annual growth rate, for 2020 to 2030 of around 11%. And as we've covered twice already, we expect to continue to return significant amounts of cash to our shareholders through a combination of growing dividends and share buybacks. ASML's EPS has grown at a CAGR of 14%, driven by system and installed base revenue with improved margins. System revenues grew at 10% CAGR. Installed base management grew at a 20% CAGR since 2010. Gross margin amount improved at 13% CAGR since 2010. And again, EPS has grown 14% CAGR since 2010. Really weren't kidding when they said that they created significant shareholder value over the past 10 years, especially since the pandemic. That's just disgusting. A lot of people would actually shy away from that, saying, oh, it's done, it's growing already. But you know what? Not necessarily. We saw what happened with NVIDIA. We see what's happening with Tesla. This orange line over here represents SOX, which is an index of semiconductors. The gray line being the NASDAQ and the green line being the S&P 500, and then the blue line over here being ASML. I'm not able to go through the entire presentation with you guys. There's 24 slides, but it's extremely in-depth if you want to take a look. And like the rest of the semiconductor industry, there are huge tailwinds moving forward, especially over the upcoming decade. Big trends equal sizable growth. Technology is changing fast. Some 160 trillion gigabytes of data will be created annually by 2025. This volume of data could not be realized without the relentless drive of the semiconductor industry to provide the performance of computer chips while reducing their cost. The world's most advanced logic and memory chips are powering high-end trends in artificial intelligence, big data, and automotive technology. The simpler, low-cost chips are integrating sensing capabilities in everyday technology to create a vast Internet of Things. Internet of Things. Where have I heard that one before? The answer to that is 5G when it comes to the Internet of Things. This is the future, guys. Cloud, 5G, artificial intelligence, intelligent edge, gaming, simulation, and visualization. And this reminds me of NVIDIA, how they have their foot in the door of all the major innovative themes over the upcoming decade. Industry megatrends are fueling market growth into the future. Global megatrends in the electronics industry, supported by a highly profitable and fiercely innovative ecosystem, are expected to continue to fuel growth across the semiconductor market. Countries' push for technological sovereignty will drive increased capital intensity, translating to increased wafer demand at both advanced and mature nodes. The world's transition to 5G is just starting. Lower latency, higher bandwidth will enable a connected world. Human to machine and machine to machine. Guys, welcome to the future. By 2026, global 5G subscriptions are estimated to top 3.5 billion, with infrastructure investment of $150 billion. By 2030, that investment is expected to grow to $250 billion. This transformation has only just begun. I really like this company. Simple and concise with their messaging. Again, remember, the most important company you've never heard of before. The electronics industry just keeps growing. There are an estimated 40 billion connected devices in use today, roughly 5 for every person on this planet. In 10 years, this number is expected to grow to 350 billion, which is 41 per person. Holy crap. And that's how fast the world moves. Can you imagine in 8 years from now, we all have 41 devices per person? And of course, this generates huge amounts of data. 175 zettabytes. That's the first time I've heard that word before. By 2025. And how many zeros are there? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Wow. And again, this is also a really cool chart as well. So ASML operates in an industry value chain that has considerable means, with strong incentives to compete and drive innovation. So here are 50 top technology companies in the ecosystem, generating $493 billion of EBIT in 2020. So the main competitors of ASML is AMAT, which is Applied Materials, and Lam Research. And we can say ASML has generated more than both of them, just marginally more than AMAT. So these semi-equipment customers are these semi-manufacturers. So you have TSMC, Samsung, Intel, Texas Instruments. Even Apple makes some of their own chips. Qualcomm, there's Broadcom, NVIDIA, AMD. And then moving down, you have hardware. So again, Apple, Samsung, Cisco, HP. And then software and services. So you have Microsoft, Alphabet, Google, Facebook, all the big dogs. Amazon, Tencent, Alibaba, Oracle. Again, guys, there's so much more information if you want to check it out on their website as well. Another thing I want to mention, so for example, in the US, you have the VTI, which covers the entire stock market in the US. And usually people that invest in those kind of ETFs also look at diversifying internationally as well. And if you look at any main developed country's ETF, and if you look at their holdings, you'll see that ASML is usually like top 2 or 3 with Nestle and Roche holdings. But usually ASML is right up there, first, second, or third. Alright, so going to Yahoo Finance, finally, we're going to be talking about the stock. The market cap is $326 billion, with a 52-week range of 357 to 895. Absolutely crazy. Looking at valuation measures, this one's not very cheap, with a forward PE of 37.31 and price to sales at 15.66. So it does trade pretty richly. They're also a growth beast with massive tailwinds. The current year, revenue growth at 38.2%, and next year at 18%. And let's take a look at the candlesticks. They're pretty much over the past year, this one's been going straight up with a few pullbacks, so the market wasn't doing very well around this time, so it makes sense. As well as having market weakness around this time as well. A little bit of sideways action, an upward move, and a pretty deep relative pullback, but we've also been seeing weakness in the markets as well, especially in technology with a 10-year and inflation and a bunch of different variables. However, speaking technically here, this is a really nice base. It could be a little bit of a double bottom, especially from this gap up on October 14th. And continued buying pressure the next day. opening and closing above that 20 EMA, and the next day near that 50 EMA. And this one actually probably looks really nice on the weekly as well. Yeah, so look at that. So zooming in, you see an indecision candle over here with the next week gapping down and then closing above that 20 EMA. And when you scroll out and look back, it would pretty much touch the 20 EMA on the weekly and then find a median buying pressure. If this one sells off, breaks below, let's say, the $700 mark, that's when you can see increased selling pressure toward $765 and maybe $650, which would be a very strong buying point. But I also think the same could be said with a lot of other big tech as well. However, if we see continued recovery from here, we test the 850, the 900 mark, and then we go back to all-time highs. Maybe we just trade sideways. It's really anyone's guess. But again, this looks like a really nice double bottom. However, it still needs to move up to, let's say, 800 to 810 in order to confirm the double bottom move, as well as it could go down and fill in the gap around 750. And I'm becoming more and more of a big fan of the stock, especially as a buy and hold candidate long term. Buy and accumulate, buy and accumulate, buy and accumulate. So there's a lot to like about this growth company over the upcoming decade, but again, it's very difficult to try to get your head wrapped around about what they actually do and how they're so integral to the entire semiconductor process. So let me know in the comments below what you think of ASML. Are you investing in it long term? Let me know. As always, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and I will see you in the next video.